Good afternoon. My name is Danielle Conway. You're watching Life in the Law in the ThinkTech series. Today's topic is Women, Law, and Entrepreneurship, and I'm proud to say that we have two alumna from the University of Hawaii William S. Richardson School of Law, women who became lawyers and then quickly turned to operating their own businesses. My guests are Ani Martirosian-Menon. She has a company that she's going to tell us about that sells natural products. And the second guest is Shannon Yarber. She has a company that also operates on the natural product framework, and you sell kombucha. So let's talk about your companies first before we get into any more of the details about who you are and where you're from. What do you sell, Ani?
First of all, thank you for inviting me on the show. We sell all natural herbal supplements and beauty products. And we're now going to extend ourselves into a juice line.
Terrific. Shannon, give me a little more background on kombucha.
Kombucha is a healthy beverage. It's fermented tea, which turns a lot of people off, but it's actually quite delicious and refreshing. It's very high in probiotics, digestive enzymes. It's really good for you, and it tastes delicious.
So what I love about this show is you started in law school.
That's right.
You came to law school, and did you say the first day of law school, I'm going to brew kombucha?
Absolutely not. I had no idea. My husband actually got really into kombucha during law school because it gave him that extra boost of energy studying for his constitutional law final. It's really expensive though, and on a student budget you can't quite afford the store prices, so we started brewing it at home. And when we graduated, our kombucha actually started to taste really good, and we thought, hey, I think people would buy a local kombucha that's more affordable than the mainland stuff.
Now, I remember you were in law school, and you were talking to me about kombucha, and you mentioned something about a bathtub. You brewed it in the bathtub, is that right?
I'm not quite sure about the bathtub
Okay.
part, but we did have it in these brewing vessels up on top of our refrigerator, and there was one time when one fell off and exploded everywhere, and that was a huge
Maybe
mess.
that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, I definitely needed to clean up in the bathtub after that.
So you have gone from brewing it at home to actually your latest contract is with Down to Earth.
That's right. Yep. On Tuesday, we're going to be available at Down to Earth store in Kailua. We'll have 4 flavors on tap there, rotating seasonally. And yeah, we're do all our brewing in a commercially certified kitchen. That's one thing we learned in law school is you always want to make sure you're following the health code.
Fantastic. So we're going to get back to the law school, but Ani, I want to talk about your business. You're in business with your brother.
Yes, we're co-founders together, and also we own the business.
Now, you have often told me you are the daughter of a serial entrepreneur. Was that the spark for you?
Oh my God, absolutely. I remember being 6 years old, being driven around with my father to all of his different business meetings. And we're thinking, this is so great. We get to meet so many different people and do so many different things. I really think that he was the inspiration for my brother and I starting AMS Naturals.
And he still has his own businesses.
Oh, many. Yes, absolutely. And he always tries to give us advice and tell us, how to do things better with AMS Naturals. And we always listen to him because we know he has that expertise. So he's still going, and I don't think he'll ever stop.
That's good. Now I want to shift gears because I want to know what your father thought when you said, I'm going to law school.
He thought it was great. He needed a lawyer for his businesses. So he's like, I need somebody I can trust, so why don't you go to law school? And I went to law school and realized, hey, maybe practicing law is not necessarily my thing, but entrepreneurship is.
Yeah.
And starting something from ground up was really exciting for me, and that's what we decided to do.
Now, why did you go to law school, Shannon?
Well, initially I thought I was going to go into the government contracting route. I have a lot of experience working for various government contracting positions. However, I never really thought of myself as your typical lawyer. I thought, you know what, there's going to be something that I'm doing with the law that's going to help the earth, and I don't know what it is yet, but that was always very important to me.
This is a subject I really want to get into on this show because many people go to law school thinking, I have to be a lawyer at the end of this. When did you realize in your law school career that that was not going to be the path for you?
It's a good question. I realized it probably in my final year. I knew I had done a summer clerkship, and I enjoyed it very much. Although I thought, you know what, I'm probably going to take a different route than what most people take. And I wasn't quite sure what that was going to be, although when the opportunity presented itself, it totally made sense.
And Ani, same question to you.
I think the first inclination I had that maybe law wasn't the thing for me, just law, was after I worked my summer at a local firm, and I went through the same steps that all associate attorneys go through for 3 months. Realized maybe this is not what I want to be doing. Was in denial. Took me until maybe the 3rd year of law school to really say, hey, I don't have to be a lawyer. I can do something else that I'm passionate about doing. And I think that's when I fully internalized that I had a different path than most others.
Well, the beauty about this path you've taken is that you have done something unexpected, fabulous, but you also realize that your law degree has value. So tell me a little bit about the value that the law degree brings to what you're doing in your business.
Go ahead, Shannon.
I use my law degree in every facet of the business, whether it's working on a policy and procedures contract that we're going to work with for new vendors, or whether it's a licensing agreement with the artist who has done the painting for our logo. I'm constantly thinking about things differently. If we want to do an organic certification, we look through all the steps, and we're not afraid to do it. You know why? Because we passed the bar exam.
Right.
So I know I can do it. I have a whole new inner confidence and a whole new set of tools that I can use that I know, well, in order to do this, I do not need to hire a lawyer. Although I know sometimes I might need to hire a lawyer in the future, and I know the difference between those two situations, when I would need a lawyer and when I don't need a lawyer.
When you can rely on your own skills.
And my own knowledge, and I'm thinking about all the issues that might come up. I'm thinking about, well, is there any liability in this? Is there any intellectual property issues in this? Or what are the contractual things that we need to get in writing?
Excellent.
And all of that, my law degree has come in so useful, especially with the drafting. I think a lot of people are afraid to draft contracts, or afraid to really look at contracts that others have drafted and given to them. And now I feel I have the tools to really look at it, really evaluate it, change it, actually can't cross things out, rewrite things. And usually people say, looks great, wow, thanks for making the changes. No one's done that before.
Isn't that terrific when the person on the other side of the transaction is looking at you and saying thanks?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It makes you feel great as a lawyer, but also as a business person.
Yes, and surprisingly, a lot of people just they go with it and they say, thank you for bringing that to the table, because not only have you improved our relationship, but you've made this easier for me to take this forward into future business relationships.
That's terrific. Ani, how about you?
I feel the same as Shannon. I think tools and confidence are two main things that really helped, that really helped me, in terms of what I acquired in law school. But what I found most interesting is that when you're in law school, you learn about the worst case scenario. And when you're doing business, you're always thinking about the worst case scenario. If I make this contract and I leave out a term, what's the worst case scenario? Or if I go through these negotiations and I incorrectly negotiate a price on an item, what's the worst case scenario? And in law school, we're constantly reading about these cases that are going to litigation, and that I think is the ultimate worst case scenario. When something goes wrong or your product makes somebody ill, what can happen? And I think that really, really helped fine-tune the way that we do business at AMS Naturals.
So AMS Naturals, and I want you to actually showcase some of the herbal supplements. AMS Naturals is a Hawaii-based company.
It's a Hawaii-based company. I'm sure Shannon knows, very difficult to accomplish. Everything is more expensive here, so it just makes it an extra challenge to start your own business here. But I think it's worth it.
So show me one of these beautiful.
This is a noni fruit supplement.
Okay.
Very, very good all around for immunity. We have here the memory support acai berry formula, and you can see our new labels here that we've just come up with. Our goji berry and our diabetes support formula. And they all have different functions, but they're all natural, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, made with sunshine and fresh water, and without any additives, flavorings, or colorings, which is, I think, what's key right now in terms of the market.
So I don't just show the viewers your products just to advertise them, but you told me something extraordinary about them, that these are the only supplements that are made in Hawaii?
We found out when we had to get our machinery brought into Hawaii that we have the only capsulizing machine on this island.
Wow.
And we found out, kind of in an unfortunate way, where our machines had to be investigated. So the container had to be opened up, the machines to be taken out, examined, and then kind of packed back into the container. Throughout all of this, almost every single machine of ours broke. And so we became engineers overnight because nobody has this machine on the island. There's nobody who can fix it. So we had to learn from the very beginning, as if it wasn't hard already, how to fix these machines so that we can start our production.
And so when you started producing the supplements, you said, not only did I have to be a lawyer figuring out how to go through customs and get our machines on the island so that we can actually run our business, I've got to become an engineer to fix them.
Absolutely.
That's fabulous, because what I want to point out is that both of you went to law school, but that's not the focal point of your business. Your business is problem solving.
I think a large part of business is all problem solving. Everything from how do we source our ingredients locally to what kind of labels are best to sell to our market, to how do we acquire more employees that we know will stick around, to how do we make these negotiations that are beneficial for both parties, because that's what our company is about. I think that all has has a lot of weight.
And then your business as well, Shannon, is fabulous because you've had to go in and negotiate with people who've been long-time business people.
Absolutely.
And you're not from Hawaii.
No. I'm from Concord, Massachusetts, a small town on the East Coast, and at least I know that in my alternative dispute and negotiation class that when people come to the table, they may not always be telling you the truth every time. And when I say the truth, well, they just might be giving you, their best offer. They might be coming in here, you might be coming in here, and you know that you're probably going to go towards the middle. So you have to be aware, and law school will teach you that in some ways. And a lot of it too is just, again, as I said, having that inner confidence to know that even though you're working with someone who might have 30 plus years of negotiating, purchasing, pricing, and all that, you can go in there and you can be taken seriously and you can get a good price. Because as Ani said, business in Hawaii is difficult, and you have to find a way to make it work for you and also to make it work for your customers.
That's right. And so when you were starting up your business, Shannon, and you're working with your husband, who's also a graduate of the William S. Richardson School of Law, one of the things that you were thinking about was how to make this business support your objectives, both personal and professional. And that brings in Hawaii and everyone around it, because both of you are not from Hawaii, so you have to figure out how to deal with people here. What did you learn about relationships in producing a very profitable business?
Well, you might have a great tasting product that is excellent, and you can feel that the whole world is just going to embrace it and love it. And in order to get it to people and get them to learn about it, you have to have great relationships. You have to work on relationships. Apparently, all the farmers markets, you need to have relationships with the other vendors and with the people who run the farmers markets in order for that to work. Life is really all about relationships, and whether it's the relationship I have with my husband in running our business, and the relationship we have with our daughter, whose initial spells Sky, she's the inspiration for our business, or the relationships we have with our customers, the relationships we have with vendors, relationships from the people we're purchasing equipment from. All of these relationships make it work. And when the relationships break down, that's when things start breaking down and not working. So really, life is all about relationships, whether you're working as an actual lawyer helping someone go through a grueling court process or divorce or whatever it is. Relationships are essential in how you operate.
Did we prepare you for those relationships at the law school? I'm afraid of this answer.
In many ways, yes, because as Ani said, sometimes you're thinking about worst case scenario, and you think, all right, what is the worst case scenario here? the business doesn't work and we have to start over. Okay, it's really not that bad.
Okay.
You know, so I would say in terms of law school, it's like, well, what's the worst case scenario here? I fail this exam and I have to take the class over, or you know, I have to do more credits. I mean, worst case scenario, it's really not that bad. So you can get through it and you know, take the risk. It's worth it. We're only here for a short time. You should make it count.
That's good to hear. Ani, same question to you.
I've been thinking about how to answer that question for the
Right.
last 2 minutes when Shannon was speaking. I think the law school does definitely help us develop the ability to build relationships. I know that within my class of 80, there were a lot of people who became really good friends and build those relationships, and are now, you know, practicing attorneys on Oahu and all around the Hawaiian Islands, and still connect and still talk and hang out and have happy hour and pauhana together. So I definitely think the law school prepares you for those relationships. What I'd like to see more is the law school preparing us for business relationships, relationships with people in the community who we may not want to have beer or, you know, have pauhana with, but who will help us create a beneficial relationship business-wise. I think that would be really great to see in the future.
Oh, great. Well, when we come back, we're speaking with Ani Martirosian-Menon and Shannon Yarber. When we come back, we're going to extend our relationship into other areas to include what we should be thinking about in terms of promoting women, lawyers who want to be entrepreneurs. See you in a moment.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard, and I host the show Center Stage on the ThinkTech Hawaii digital series right here every Wednesday from 2 to 3 Hawaii time. I would really love to have you watch the show and see what we do here. I talk with some of the most amazing people, artists, most of them, all of them involved in some sort of artistic process. And our goal here on the show is to dig into that artistic process, and you would not believe what some people say, what some people do, what people go through to express. And these are people who have to express somehow, and I find that infinitely interesting. Not only that they have to express, but how they end up doing it. I really hope that you will watch the show and enjoy talking with some of these people the same way that I do. Thanks, and I hope to see you soon on Center Stage on the ThinkTech Hawaii digital series, Wednesdays from 2 to 3. See you soon.
Welcome back. I'm Danielle Conway, and you're watching Life in the Law in the ThinkTech Talk series. Today, my guests, Ani Martirosian-Menon and Shannon Yarber, two women who are business owners in our Hawaii community and have brought their products through Hawaii, are part of Hawaii, and want to be community members for the long term. So we need relationships to make sure that you're successful. How do we at the law school think about creating a pathway for that long-term outlook?
I think reaching out to local businesses would be a great way to start, because I think every single person on this island who's owned and operated a business has already made these relationships and already has these connections business-wise. I'm willing to bet that a lot of students going to law school right now don't necessarily want to be attorneys, don't necessarily want to practice law. And I think they too will benefit from this immersion to Hawaii's local the business industry.
Shannon, your thoughts?
I think really having more of a focus on business and allowing the students to think this is a real, viable, profitable, and successful option for them to take. Even though it may be high risk and it might be something completely different, it's absolutely worth it. The personal and professional rewards have surpassed any other job that I've had.
So I want to highlight a couple of things. I want to highlight the year that you graduated. You graduated, Ani, in 2010.
Yes.
Shannon, you graduated in 2013. That's impressive on both counts. You are fresh out of law school and decided the law is not for me. A strictly legal career is not for me.
Yeah.
My path is one in entrepreneurship. So at the law school, when we start thinking about new paths, you're teaching us we should step back and really broaden our scope. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I think what would be great for current law students to keep in mind is they don't have to feel guilty if they're in law school and they don't want to be attorneys. And I say that only because I was that law student who was in law school because I believed in human rights and international law. That was my main focus. I took your course in intellectual property and decided, hey, that's something that fascinates me a ton. But nothing really, nothing was really so impressive or so interesting that I thought I could focus on this and build a career as a practicing attorney in this particular, field. So I think I would love to see the students in law school hear this and think, hey, I can be okay with not becoming an attorney after law school. I'm learning all of these different skills and tools, as Shannon mentioned, and these will help propel me into something that I'm really passionate about, something that really interests me and that fits my personality and my skill set more than the practice of law.
And Shannon mentioned the word profitable. So tell me how well your company is doing.
My company is doing really well. We started off with a very nominal investment that we had from our savings of $18,000, and now we're making just a substantial amount more.
More than that.
And I don't want to speculate on our revenue, but we're making enough to be able to function in Hawaii, to have a production facility, to have 7 people on our staff, and to still turn a profit.
And your last negotiated contract, or you're currently negotiating a contract in South Korea.
Absolutely. South Korea and Japan are our 2 target points. And 2017 was my mark to get us into the commissaries, and that happened last year.
So you're already in the military commissary.
Yes.
After being in business only 4 years.
It's possible. It's possible.
Shannon, and your response to the scope, how we should be thinking about the output of our students upon graduation and what they should be doing.
Well, I feel right now at the law school there is a defined path to success that we're kind of brushed and manicured into, and there's so much more that anyone with a law degree can do with the law. Really, anything you decide to do, anything, the law will touch what you're doing, whether it's some kind of administrative regulation or some kind of law. The law touches our daily lives. And your legal training will prepare you to think of things in a different way. And people can operate very successful businesses without law degrees. I would say it's given me as a woman the confidence to know that I can go into a negotiation and I have something valuable to contribute, and I have a lot of knowledge to back up what I'm saying, and to know that whatever it is I decide to do in the future, whether that be Sky Kombucha for decades or whether that be something else, I have the tools to do that and the confidence to do that. And I think that's very important for women to foster in themselves, is to really believe that it's worth following your passion and it's worth taking the risk, whatever that is, even if it is that manicured path that most lawyers are trained to think is the successful path. There are lots of successful paths to take.
And I want to ask you the same question about your profitability or success. And success doesn't have to be measured in just finances, but you started this upon graduation and passing the bar. Both of you are barred in the state of Hawaii. I think you've taken the bar exam and passed it. And after that, you started this business. So where are you guys sitting now?
Well, we're expanding rapidly, and it's very, very exciting and very rewarding. In terms of the financial rewards, we're working there, and I hope to be in a few years where you are now. Our business isn't even a year old, although we were in this month's issue of Honolulu Magazine as the best kombucha. So we're super excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And David has recently quit his legal job in order to do Sky Kombucha full time. So both of us are doing Sky Kombucha full time while watching our toddler daughter.
And to reiterate, again, we're not talking money, but what's beautiful about what you've been able to achieve in starting your business is you and David are able to spend time with Stacy.
Absolutely. Flexibility. He's watching our daughter right now, and they're having some daddy-daughter time. And we're able to work out our schedules so that we can go to meetings. And we're spending time with our daughter every day. And we're taking her to the beach on a Wednesday morning when it's not totally crowded, and it's great. And then we're doing business meetings in the afternoons, and we're making it work. And the flexibility and the personal rewards, knowing that something that you're doing is improving people's lives. And
that's a great transition, because I also want to point out that both of your businesses, successful, profitable, and based on the concept, the platform of good health, natural products. What informed your decision to go in that direction? Was that something uniquely within yourselves, or is it something in this generation that we should be paying attention to?
Well, my brother and I started AMS Naturals. That was our entire goal, was to bring a product that was all natural, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, just absolutely good for your body, into the market in Hawaii that was also Hawaii made. We weren't thinking profits. We weren't even thinking we would ever make a profit, because we started with such a small amount of money for a business to operate in Hawaii. And we figured we need to make this product. We'll figure all that detail out later. And so I believe that being a natural company based out of Hawaii, out of Oahu, especially the west side of this island, which I feel is suffering the most from all the decisions that are being made, that was a key ingredient to our kind of pattern of knock on wood, a successful last 4 years.
So your business model embraces this because it's something good for Hawaii.
Absolutely. It was what our whole business was about. How do we provide a natural Hawaii-made product to the people of Hawaii? And then just the financial rewards, and we're talking about lots of rewards. The financial reward just happened to follow. Well, we weren't expecting it. But we feel so fulfilled to be able to provide a product in the market that wasn't there, one we felt the need for, and we feel that it really does make an impact in people's lives.
And Shannon?
In response to your question, there's the macrocosm and the microcosm, and it's something that is important to me to improve people's lives. And I think it's something that's important to people right now living, realizing that the way that we're living is not sustainable. It's not sustainable for our health, for the earth, and we need to think of a different way to do things. For all of the bottles that we sell, we have a sustainability credit that we will pay people 25 cents to give the bottle back to where they purchased it from. And it's about thinking about doing business differently. We sell most of our kombucha in kegs where people can bring their own container and fill it up and take it home and bring it back. We're not shipping, we don't want to ship in tons of bottles filled with liquid from the mainland. We want to think about how can Hawaii do business differently? How can we think about what we're throwing away differently and how we're using the products, the packaging it comes in. I just truly personally believe that we do need to make a difference, and that each one of us is responsible for participating in that.
So not only is your product part of the sustainability chain, but your business model is sustainable, and as well your legal services are sustainable, because you're doing what you can do on your own before then sending it out if necessary.
Absolutely, and I wonder if we didn't have the legal background, whether we could afford to start up with as little money as we did.
Interesting, fantastic. So I want to shift gears a little bit, because something that both of you said really sparked my interest in the personal side of this, and that is the importance of family and feeling confident that what you're doing is also supporting that part of your lives. So how is your business, Ani, furthering your family, particularly your relationships with your brother, your father, and your husband?
You know, it is a pain to work with families sometimes. It really is. I think my brother and I fire each other every single day a couple of times. We both know that we can't get fired, right? So it works out. But it's been a blessing for my relationship with my husband to have the flexibility to work around each other's schedules. It's been a blessing with my parents, because my father feels like his legacy is fulfilled. His children are now doing what he's done his whole life, serial entrepreneurship. And I feel like that provides him with a lot of fulfillment. And I think my mother just is so proud to see my brother and I working together so cohesively to do something that is good for the world and good for Hawaii, to build connections and relationships among Hawaii businesses, to contribute to our local economy in a way that I think is revolutionary. I don't think that we have any supplements made on this island with machinery. We don't have a manufacturing here. And I think that really inspires not only my family, but also really helps my relationship with my husband, because like I mentioned, I work for 2 weeks straight sometimes, evenings and mornings and afternoons. But if I know that he has a day off, I can fit that in my schedule, and we can go off to the beach or have a little staycation up in the North Shore.
Right.
And I could make that work. So it's really helped family-wise.
When we come back from the break, Shannon, I'm going to ask you the same question, and then I'm also going to ask you about prioritizing all of these particular requirements in your life. This is Danielle Conway. You are watching Life in the Law in the ThinkTech Talk series. Back in a moment.
Okay, this is ThinkTech, and one of our favorite shows is Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. And it goes 4 to 5 every Wednesday right here from ThinkTech in Pioneer Plaza at the core of downtown Honolulu. And my co-host is Ray Starling from Hawaii Energy. Ray, do you like the show?
I love the show. It's great to see all the new people coming in with new ideas about how to save energy, get us off of fossil fuel, and that's what it's all about. So Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, see us on Wednesday afternoons at 4 o'clock.
I knew he'd say that. Thanks, Ray.
Danielle Conway, and you're watching Life in the Law. I'm happy to be back with Shannon Yarber and Ani Martirosian-Menon. We're talking about now balance in the business world. So Shannon, I took that break intentionally because I really wanted to hear what you had as a response to my question. How do you prioritize everything that you're doing when you and your husband are business owners and new business owners?
Well, it's challenging, and we have good moments and not so good moments. But what really mattered to me when I graduated law school, I had a child in my third year of law school, and I had to figure out a way to go to class and watch her, and we'd trade off. And we went to his parents' house to study for the bar, so we had family watching her while we were studying. And to me, it's all about balance. I knew that once I started my career, I needed a career where I would be spending a lot of time with my daughter. And having my own business meant that I could be working on that business while she was napping and while she was sleeping. And sometimes that definitely cut into my own personal sleep. And again, that's something I'm working on, finding my own personal balance with how do I get enough sleep. And prioritizing family to David and I comes before everything. And that's another reason why David decided to do Sky Kombucha full time, is because he wanted to spend time with our daughter and her to know that she was the most important person in her life, along with mommy, and that our family unit is the most important thing that we have. And so we work very hard, and we spend a lot of time talking about the business and working on the business. And sometimes we're going for walks or we're playing at the playground and we're talking business. And we have a lot of fun, and we also have a lot of disagreements or challenges. But to us, prioritizing myself, my business, my child, my husband, balancing all these things, you have to realize these personal relationships come before everything, and that if the business doesn't end up working out, we'll still have those relationships and we can do something else. We'll have the courage to know that we can do something else and that we'll be able to.
Well, your response to this question is actually envisioned in the very name of your company, because as you mentioned earlier, Sky will
it's my daughter's
that's
initials.
your initials of your daughter's
Right.
daughter's name. And so everything you're talking about is fueling that
Right.
business, the balance you're seeking.
Exactly. And we want her to know that we're there for her, we're spending time with her, and we're also doing something that we want to better her future. To know that we want to build a successful business so that we're able to provide her with things that are a wonderful education, for example. We want to be able to be successful and to know that mommy and daddy are doing something that's meaningful to us and that can create a wonderful, you know.
And it's so meaningful that the name is imbued with this type of commitment.
Absolutely. It's very personal for us, and we love our daughter so much, and we love our company too. It's really about passion and focusing on those relationships.
So the first thing we started out with was teaching those who might be interested in law school or those who are already in law school that there's another path. There's an alternate path. Consistent and as dynamic as the traditional path of becoming a lawyer in a law firm. What else can we impart to people thinking about law school or actually attending law school about this idea of balance? What should they know?
That if you need, it's important to work hard, but that's not really what life's all about. Life, I think, is constantly learning, and that's another thing I love about business is I'm constantly learning new things, and it's exciting. And I think with the law, you also are constantly learning new things, and that if you're going into law school, you need to remember to create balance, be true to yourself, and realize that your path is not going to be the same as everyone else's. And if you want to take, the certain path of, getting that summer clerkship that you really wanted, or working for this particular judge that you love, that might work, and that's great, and it might not work, and there's so many opportunities out there for you to pursue that are super exciting and very rewarding.
Ani?
I think balance is very necessary, and we shouldn't compromise one thing for the other. We shouldn't compromise our health to be successful in law school. We should be able to be healthy and successful in law school. And the only way we could do that is to define our own successes. What is success to us? I think every law school student should define that for themselves. Is it getting that clerkship, as Shannon mentioned, or is it passing and not failing your classes? Is it showing up to every single class on every single day of the semester? What is your success? Define it, and then find a way to balance your life around your definition of success. Because it's not easy. It's not going to be easy to constantly keep this balance. But we need to be very vigilant and make sure that when we go off balance in a particular aspect of our lives, we try to get there and balance it back out. And it's very necessary. It's crucial. It's not an option. It's a need.
So the title of this particular program was called Women, Law, and Entrepreneurship. So we've talked law, we've talked entrepreneurship, now let's talk women.
All right.
All right. So how challenging is it to be in the business community, taking care of family, and actually going out and making your business successful? What are some of the challenges you've either seen or anticipate?
There are some harsh realities that I've noticed. As a mother, I am the primary caregiver, and it will fall upon me to ensure that our daughter is fed, dressed, bathed, has eaten, everything. And that can be challenging sometimes, especially when I'm going off to do a TV show and my daughter is screaming as I'm leaving the door, "Mommy, Mommy!"
Right.
It pulls at my heartstrings. And also, too, when I'm in a business meeting with my husband and we're both representing the company, I might not always be taken as seriously as he is, or listened to in the same manner and with the same kind of attention. I sincerely hope that is something that will change for my daughter's sake, and I think it's something that is changing. I know that when I work with other women, it's a different kind of relationship, and I feel like they respect me very much. We're able to understand each other, and kind of just get the business done in a way that women can understand.
So what that means is we have to recruit more women,
Yes.
whether lawyers or not,
Right.
to think and be more entrepreneurial.
Right. And these are women too that there are so many women. There's this whole new phrase called mompreneur. Women can be mothers and they can have their own business and they can run it out of their home depending on what they're doing. But it's entirely possible.
Are there organizations in Hawaii or community groups or a type of meeting place where you might find women entrepreneurs gathering to mentor one another, to share some of the secrets of the industry?
I believe there are some
There are
female
a couple.
organizations, yeah.
Yeah, but they're not as large as I'd like to see them. And they're networks for women, especially women in business, not necessarily entrepreneurs. I'm not so sure how much, how much reach they have.
So we need to think about ways of starting that kind of conversation or
Absolutely.
extending it, because I am sure it exists, but we have to tap into it.
Right, and I think they need to be reaching out to women to let them know that, hey, we're here and we're here to support you. It's just all about outreach.
So we have a little bit of homework to do, actually, to investigate and then unearth some of those
Absolutely.
communities. Ani, I'll ask you the same question.
Sure, I'm going to defer to Shannon in terms of family because I'm not a mother yet. I can only imagine
We're
how
all
much
mothers in waiting.
I can only imagine how much you work, how much harder you work just because you have a daughter to take care of. But absolutely, the same challenges you face, I face myself. It's sad to see, and especially because we're supposed to. For example, Shannon, you mentioned how when you meet with women, the conversation's a bit easier. They understand that you're there for a business purpose. You make things clear, it goes faster, and you're usually left feeling like you both negotiate something that's beneficial. Oftentimes, when you're dealing with men in Hawaii, generally, it's difficult trying to hold a conversation that's equal, because not always, but in my personal experience, women are not. They don't seem like they're as credible or reputable or as able to make decisions on behalf of the company as men do. That's unfortunate, but I do hope that we can solve that problem, like you said. It's something that I find extremely challenging. And a conversation with the other person or with the person that you're facing, which usually a male in a different industry, doesn't necessarily always change the circumstance. We were speaking earlier before the show, and I told you that oftentimes during a negotiation, we'll tell somebody, I went to law school. I am trained as an attorney. And so this, I understand the contract we're talking about. I understand the ramifications of our decision making here. And that changes the dialogue a little bit. But I think as women, we still struggle with having to prove ourselves to the people that we're talking to. And it shouldn't be like that in 2014, but it still is. So I think if we can create, if we could all women can take a responsibility onto themselves to reach out to other women and say, hey, I'm in the business world. You're somebody I don't know. How can we help each other? What can I do for you?
To a new network.
Exactly. Because we all face the same challenge.
Right.
That would really be beneficial for all of us.
And also mentoring, I think, would be a wonderful thing to have, is other women who've been in business for years or decades, mentoring young women or women just starting out in business.
Right. So, as if you don't have enough on your plates already, it may just be that this is also something you're going to have to do yourselves. So if mentoring is the key to providing an entree to more women entrepreneurs, whether lawyers or not, maybe it just is something that comes along with what you're doing.
If any woman reaches out to me, I'm not going to say, nope, sorry, I can't help you. If there any law student right now going to law school says, Ani Martirosian-Menon, can I have a couple of minutes of your time? I'm worried about X, Y, and Z, or I'm a woman trying to start a business. Can you speak to me? I'm not going to say no, and I don't think Shannon will say no either.
No,
I'd welcome it.
You'd welcome it, and I think we both would. And I think a lot of women, as well as Danielle, you as well, you'd welcome it with open arms as you welcomed us with your open arms. I think that we have to stop being afraid of approaching each other and start having conversations around how can we benefit one another. We're in the same struggle.
So in that vein, let's, in our last few minutes, identify your businesses again, but also the means in which another entrepreneur, whether woman or man, or young person, can contact you and say, I love that idea of mentorship and networking. So tell us how to find your business, how to find you in the virtual space, and again, articulate your willingness to mentor.
AMS Naturals, AMS Naturals is my company. You can find us at www.amsnaturals.com, and my email is the best way to contact me. It's Ani, A-N-I, at amsnaturals.com. So if anybody, any questions, I'd be more than happy to speak with you, really.
And Shannon at skykombucha.com. So my company is Sky Kombucha. We make local homemade kombucha. And the best way to contact me is through email. As I said, Shannon at skykombucha.com. I love questions, comments. I'm absolutely willing to mentor others, and I hope to hear from you.
I'm so excited by this program that you've helped me put on today, Women, Law, and Entrepreneurship. It is a fantastic endeavor to watch something grow from a seed into a full-blown, beautiful flower. And I've had that experience with my two guests, Ani Martirosian-Menon and Shannon Yarber. I have been blessed to be able to teach them at the William S. Richardson School of Law, and I am excited to see about what the future holds, not just for them, not just for their families, but how they contribute to Hawaii. This is Danielle Conway. You've been watching Life in the Law in the ThinkTech Talk series. Have a good afternoon.